Welcome to Match of the Day Live for the third round of the FA Cup from Elland Road, the home of 2nd Division Leeds United, who in a few minutes' time take on Everton, 1984's most consistent team. More Cannon League points than anyone and winners of the FA Cup as well.
And the cross headed half away, and Stephen Sharp, and a goal for Everton by Graham Sharp. Gray and Sharp waiting in the centre, and Gray is closing in here. Oh, and Sherwood didn't collect, and the goal is given. A memorable moment for Evertonians everywhere. Their first major trophy for 14 years.
Everton's year. A decade or so ago, under Don Revie, Leeds United themselves could have claimed that consistent crown. And in 1972, they also won the FA Cup.
Trying to take on McNab outside, he's round the back. Clock! 1-0! And so, at last, Leeds have got what they've deserved, a major trophy.
The years since have been difficult ones for Leeds, although they've never really lost their deep-rooted and sometimes fanatical support. And they'll be depending on that kind of encouragement this evening to close the gap between Everton, on top of the world, and their own mixture of promising youngsters and loyal veterans. What do you think about that blend, Bob?
Well, yeah, I think it's an exciting match in prospect as far as the youngsters of Leeds United are concerned. Having to play against the most successful team this year in the British League, and I think that it's very exciting, and the crowd are excited. It's the FA Cup, the romance of the FA Cup, which seems to generate an interest and an excitement that no other competition does. And also, you did mention veterans, and I can't mention veterans without I have a word about Peter Lorimer. I was in Vancouver about 3 years ago, and I happened to go down to see Vancouver Whitecaps play, and there was Peter Lorimer with a pot belly, you know. He had a little bit of a pot, because he likes a glass of beer, I do believe. and I said, oh, it's a shame, isn't it, really? Peter Lorimer has to still try to keep playing. I was rather sad, you know. And he won the Man of the Match award. He was unbelievable. He was so enthusiastic. So when you see a match like this, it's going to be played tonight, where it's going to be tremendously exciting. There's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of tension. The most interesting thing for me, and for a lot of people will be, that probably Peter Lorimer will be more enthusiastic than anybody else. And here he is, you know, 3 years later than Vancouver and still going strong.
Well, I can certainly bear out your point about the Leeds support, Jimmy. I was up here on Tuesday for the New Year's Day match against Manchester City, and there's still a vibrant sense of occasion about Elland Road. Yet it's a ground which historically, you know, has been absolutely wretched for Everton. Their fans are well aware that you have to go back 33 years to find their last victory on this ground. It was in the 1951-52 season, and in 28 visits since then in League and Cup, Everton have been beaten on 21 occasions, and all they've managed in that time is 7 draws. Those figures include the famous FA Cup semi-final replay here of 1980, when Everton lost to West Ham, but since then, of course, this team has won the FA Cup. They are the holders, and they're the first team out, with Leeds on the far side about to join them, and they're going to come out together to start the real business in this season's FA Cup. So let's check now on the team news for tonight. For Leeds, injuries rule out David Harvey and Andy Ritchie. So Phil Hughes keeps his place in goal. George McCluskey leads the attack. A young side, as Jimmy Hill said. Hughes is one of 6 players under 21, all of them incidentally born after Peter Lorimer had already figured in the Leeds first team. As for Everton, they welcome back 2 players after injury, Gary Stevens and Andy Gray, so they field 8 of the team that won the FA Cup last May. Left out of the side, which completed maximum league points over the holiday, are Terry Curran and John Bailey. Pat Vandenhouse switches from right to left back. Well, our viewers very familiar with Everton by now, I should think. Not so, perhaps, with this Leeds team. I've seen them a couple of times. Jimmy Hill has also seen them twice. So, Jimmy, what did you make of them?
Well, I quite enjoyed them, I must say. I saw them beat Charlton, I saw them at Oxford United, and the young players can be very good to watch. John Sheridan is the old man of the team, or one of the old men. He's 20, Air Youth International. He's on Manchester City's books as a schoolboy, but Leeds have developed him. He's an imaginative playmaker, but he's got a tough task tonight against the very strong Everton midfield.
Everton in all blue will play in the first half from right to left. They've won 10 matches away from Goodison Park this season. A hardened side now. Many of their supporters have crossed the Pennines. Indeed, Everton, a club that always carry a very loyal away support, and Leeds in all white, playing from the left. Scott Sellers with the throw, finding Frank Gray. Frank Gray of Leeds and Andy Gray of Everton to avoid any confusion. Here's Peter Lorimer playing the ball in, and there was an appeal for a foul there as McCluskey thought he was impeded, and referee David Richardson went along with it. Bundled over just outside the area, and here's an interesting position in the first couple of minutes. Hot shot Lorimer, they called him in his golden days, and he can still strike a ball, as Bobby Charlton was saying. He'll have a look at this, because sometimes Sellers can curl them also from this position for Leeds. And Sheridan and Gray are not far away from the ball either. But Lorimer's lined it up. And he's left it for Sheridan to curl one, and that's a good save by Neville Southall. A very good stop from Sheridan's free kick. That was excellent goalkeeping so early in the game. A corner to Leeds, the second division side, to be taken by Sellers. And Big Linnigan has come forward, number 5, with the jump there. And Lorimer drives one. John Sheridan came in behind Lorimer to curl it, and that's a good piece of goalkeeping in only the second minute. It's good play again by Sheedy, and the tackle from behind laid Graham Sharp down. It was Linnigan. Linnigan, who came from Hartlepool, where his brother still plays. Mountfield has gone forward to support Gray. It'll be Ratcliffe with the kick. And Gray gets up, and here's Vanden Hauwe high into the crowd. An occasion which is proud to bring back memories of Leeds players of the past. Eddie Gray, the manager now, down there in the dugout. And I know 2 or 3 others among the Leeds team of years ago are present in the stand. Peter Reid. That's for Tommy Wright. And Ratcliffe needed his pace there. Wright was away, but Ratcliffe, the Everton captain, one of the fastest people around. Everton plays so much through Sheedy, it's apparent in these first 10 minutes just how often he is the frontier post, just to allow the ball to move on. Sharp backing in. Sheridan for Leeds. Hampson. Sellers. Reid. Stevens. Gray's begun to run now, and he got away from the defender, did Andy Gray, and he got a header down to Bracewell, and Everton's first worthy attack. And the old-fashioned policy of playing it high towards Andy Gray, where he's in his element, competing for crosses like that pays off again. Stevens knew where the ball had to go because Gray had got a couple of yards away from his marker, as you could see. He got the header down, Bracewell's angled drive across the face of the goal. Forward by Sheridan, offside against McCluskey. He's got a cut pedigree. George McCluskey scored the winning goal for Celtic against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final 5 years ago. Just over 10 minutes gone and no score. One good attempt by either side. Stephen to Stevens. Reed. Mountfield. Scooped that rather. But Stevens made something of it. Linnigan. And Reed again. This is Lorimer. They're looking for that early ball out, Leeds, to try and get Tommy Wright away. Ratcliffe was covering then, and his pass was a good one. Stephen. Number 7. Free kick given to Everton. And Mountfield is there. Gray was hovering. Not a good header by Irwin. Back in by Sheedy. Sheridan. Lorimer. Still got the tricks. Ratcliffe. Here's Irwin. Now Gray, that's Frank Gray for Leeds. Hampson. Sheridan. Irwin. And Wright. And Everton are coping quite well there, but Gray regains possession. Irwin. Wright again. This is Bracewell. The way back was cut off. It still is. So it's Gray once more. Really opened it out there. Gary Hampson. Came as a midfield player originally, Hampson, and Frank Gray in midfield made that possible by switching the point of the Leeds attack from right to left. Andy Gray with Aspin there. Now Bracewell and Sharp and Gray with a chance. And a good challenge by Aspin. It was a deflection off the number 6 that foiled Andy Gray there. A corner to Everton. Sheedy to take. And well collected by Phil Hughes. Only 20, the goalkeeper. And this only his 6th first-team game, his first cup tie. Sellers. If he could just get away from the defender, there's a chance here for Leeds, but just overhit the pass to Tommy Wright, Scott Sellers. Sharp and Aspin. Stephen. He's on his own at the moment for Everton. Sharp behind him. Gray's gone into the centre. Away by Linnigan. As far as Van den Houw. And now Ratcliffe. But as often in cup ties, the play at times over-anxious, and few clear-cut chances being created as a result. But here's Bracewell, and a little scuffle off the ball. Mountfield was the Everton player involved, and he was penalised. Frank Gray standing his ground. Gray. Irwin. Gray again. Pleased to be back in First Division company tonight, Frank Gray. Sheedy. This quick interchange in the Everton midfield is causing Leeds to just at times get a little worried, and Sheridan conceding the free kick because they're trying to shut down the Reed-Bracewell combination, and it's difficult for them. Sharp is the target here. Just under a quarter of an hour left in the first half. Leeds 0, Everton 0. Sure, many of the players taking part in the third round tomorrow, and indeed Sunday, will be watching this pipe opener with interest. There's something very particular about this weekend in the football calendar. Dickinson hasn't been able to get back into the side, while Linnigan and Aspin have been playing so well at the back for Leeds, and that was one reason why they've remained pretty solid. Aspin has replaced Dickinson in the last few games. Here's Stevens. Sharp bustled out of it there by Linnigan. Tries to get Sellers away. Wright's in the middle. McCluskey's making ground also. And Southall able to come and collect the cross. That's where you'll find Sellers trying to do damage, down the left-hand side. Hampson. Forward by Mountfield. That's a decent pass. Bracewell, the player after it. Three waiting in the centre for Everton here. Bracewell's cross. Sharp coming in. It hit Andy Gray on the way out from Aspin. And Frank Gray edged it on to Sellers. Very little time for players to settle on the ball. Sheridan, oh, he's lost it to Bracewell. Mistake by Sheridan. And Bracewell finds Sharp, who didn't get any power in his shot. McCluskey to Wright. Oh, that's really good play by Stephen. He got fouled, but he saw the chance there to break things up and burst through the centre. And it needs something like that, I fancy, to open up this tie a little. It's been very tight up to now. So a free kick to Everton. Sharp is in there, Sheedy's there, and Irwin came in behind him. There were one or two appeals from the Everton players there for a penalty which didn't look on. Sheedy was the player who went down. Gary Hampson for Leeds. Onto the chest of Tommy Wright. But the pattern of this first half, very much a case of defenders closing down the attacking players all the time, right on their backs. And precious little space. Stephen is trying to find some for Everton, to Reed. Andy Gray. I think Linnigan has made up his mind that he's not going to let Andy Gray have any room at all. Rain or sleet is now falling, just softening up the top surface. Sharp with Linnigan. Appeals for handball, and the linesman's flagging penalty. Penalty, Linnigan handball, seen by the linesman, who put his flag across his chest and gave the penalty, which the referee was happy to endorse. While David Richardson is pointing to the spot, Leeds have gone across to that linesman, Alan Flood with the yellow flag, but he was near the incident, a good view, and Linnigan was penalised. A penalty to Everton. Graham Sharp has taken the responsibility from the spot recently, and he's aiming for his 20th goal of the season, and he gets it. The holders are in the lead. Eddie Gray's side fall behind 4 minutes before half-time. Graham Sharp the scorer, and this is how it happened. The ball bobbled about a little bit. Sharp was there and watched Linnigan, the number 5, on the left arm it seemed. The referee looked across, linesman gave it, Everton in the lead. Sheridan. Only one way for Leeds to go now. Reed for Everton. Stephen on the edge of the area, he was bundled, play goes on. I think Linnigan's just perhaps lost his place for a moment. Gray's over on the far side for Everton here, and Stephen just over. That could have killed Leeds off. I think maybe the penalty award has unsettled the centre-half, who made another mistake just there, allowing, in the end, Van den Hauwe to cross, Andy Gray to get up. The ball fell for Trevor Stephen, just over the angle. McCluskey hasn't had a look in so far at centre-forward for Leeds. Indeed, that goes for the whole Leeds attack, truthfully. Well, when these two clubs last met in the FA Cup in 1968 in the semi-final, it was settled by a penalty for Everton. And that's exactly how it stands tonight at half-time. 4 minutes before the break, a handling offence by Linnigan, punished first, obviously, by the referee, and then by Graham Sharp for his 20th goal in his last 27 games. It's a great strike rate, even though there's penalties included. And as the teams go off to their dressing rooms, Adrian Heath on crutches there among the Everton fans, Eddie Gray with talking to do. As the two teams go off, the half-time score in this FA Cup third-round tie, coming to you live from Elland Road, is Leeds United of the second division 0, FA Cup holders Everton.
It's always sad to see a footballer on crutches, and a bleak Christmas it's been indeed for Everton's Adrian Heath, who had an operation for torn knee ligaments just before Christmas. And Adrian, you're going to be out how long?
I would think I've wrote this season off. It's just going to be a case of hoping that when the lads report back for training, I can be in good shape and do what they do.
Sure. How frustrating is it for you to watch them defending the FA Cup and challenging for the Championship, and at the same time try not to get forgotten?
Well, I don't think the lads have let me forget myself, really. They've been tremendous, really. They've been on the phone every day, and the club have tried to keep me involved in everything they've done. Every away trip they've been in, they've asked me if I want to go along. But obviously it's frustrating, what with the glamour of the FA Cup and the excitement we had last year. So, but I enjoy being here. At least I'm involved in some way.
If they get to Wembley, to the final, any chance of you being fit in time for that?
I don't think so, no. I think it's just a case now of working hard and getting through the summer, really.
Now, what about tonight's match? 1-0 at half-time, only a penalty separating the two teams. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think we should have had a penalty earlier when Kevin Sheedy was pushed off the ball. So, on that account, really, I think we're justifiably be one up.
Now, obviously, your interests are with Everton in the second half, but if you had to wind up Leeds to tell them how they might pull this round in the second half, what would you tell them?
I think if they got a few more men in the box and hopefully they'll perhaps get a break, but at the moment they aren't getting too many men in the box, which from our point of view is tremendous. But we're defending very well, and we weathered the early storm, which we knew we'd get, so our gaffer's delighted.
Thanks very much, Ed, and all the best, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the season, although you're going to be a spectator.
Thanks very much, Tony.
Adrian Heath, it's marvellous, Bob, how they're very objective players, aren't they, about matches in which their team's involved. Should have had another penalty as well. How about that?
Yeah, that's right. But it's a great shame for a good little player like him. He's a good pro, and he's a fast little player, very, very brave, and I think it's a tragedy, really, that it's going to be next season before we see him play again.
But it does show you the ups and downs of a professional player's life. A lot of people say, you know, they don't earn their money, they get too much. But when you see something like that, how you can go from the top, you know, to a situation of not being able to play any part at all, brings it home to you.
It's tragic for him, yeah. I'm very fortunate, personally, I never had any really serious injuries.
Nobody could ever catch you.
Oh, they caught me plenty of times, you know, yes. But it's sad, but he's only a young lad. He's got plenty of seasons to play yet. And I take his point, you know, about Everton maybe having had an earlier penalty, but I think that was really a little bit harsh on Leeds if it had been given.
Well, here are the Leeds side coming out. A rotten moment to have a goal against them and a rotten goal. But is there, you know, I mean, realistically, are you still with Everton, or do you think they might come back and get at least a draw?
Well, I can't see Leeds getting back into the game simply because of the healthy respect I've got for the Everton defence. Radcliffe, the Welsh lad who was the captain, has been a stalwart, and they're so fast at the back. Gary Stevens, the right back, probably as good a right back as we've got in England at the moment. And they're well motivated, they're well organised at the back. I think that they're really going to struggle a little bit.
And there's some people that will agree with you there, supporting their side on. But well, let's give Leeds a crack at the whip with commentator now, John Watson.
Just seeing Adrian Heath on crutches there brings to mind my feeling that Howard Kendall, despite the presence in the side again of Andy Gray after injury, and with Terry Curran now in reserve, necessarily won't stop there. I have a fancy that he might go into the transfer market even now and buy another striker before too long. We'll have to wait and see on that. For the time being, Leeds are playing now from the right, the second division side, 1 goal behind on their own ground. And we'll see if they do what Adrian Heath suggested, Leeds, and push more players towards the Everton penalty area, because they didn't create much in the way of scoring chances in the first half. There goes Peter Reid for Everton, who know that a second could go a long way towards settling it. There's the cross, and Sharp is there, away by Aspin. Sheedy inside to Bracewell. This is Stevens. Bracewell again. 1-2 not coming off there. This is McCluskey, who was well marked by Mountfield, who now splits it up again and gets Everton moving with Sheedy. Comes off Aspin, and Mountfield is coming forward again. Played in for Sharp. It was in cup final week that Howard Kendall signed Paul Bracewell, so he's never been satisfied necessarily with the squad he's got. And you can't be when you're chasing the top honours, as Everton are now. Mountfield. Sellers. Forward by Bracewell. Sharp is closing in. Andy Gray is there. Sheedy is spread out left. And out right is Trevor Stephen. Aspin comes across and has to concede a corner. Andy Gray up with the keeper. Vanden Hauwe was there, but it was a foul by Gray, and memories perhaps there of the FA Cup final when Steve Sherwood thought he was hard done by on Gray's challenge. With so many young players in the side, Leeds have got to hope that they can keep their morale steady, not get dispirited. Having said that, there are only 10 minutes gone in the second half, so there could be a twist and a turn in this cup tie yet. Here's Sellers trying to achieve just that. Sheridan away from Trevor Stephen once, but not twice. Andy Gray. Reid. Oh, he's had a tremendous 12 months, Peter Reid. Sheedy, Bracewell, Vanden Hauwe on the chase on the far side. Two waiting in the centre. Sharp arriving with the defender, and it's safe for Leeds now. The move originally engineered by Peter Reid. Sheridan for Leeds. Now they have got two men on this side here. This is Tommy Wright. Sheridan. Hampson. Sheridan again. And now Sheridan. Again the foot in from Bracewell. How often that's happened. Sheedy's out to the left unmarked. Two the other way. And Sheedy can pick somebody out here surely. And it was Reid who would have wanted to have done better from there. But Sheedy must have had a choice of 4 Everton players to whom he could have crossed. And Reid was the one he picked. It broke for Lorimer, and Sellers is coming in here. It went over the head of Gary Stevens, who blocked the shot. Now Hampson. Sellers again. Now can Irwin do something with it? Played it wide well for Lorimer, and that was a good interception by the Everton captain Kevin Ratcliffe. Otherwise, McCluskey was waiting to pounce. Lorimer has suddenly provided some service from the right-hand side. McCluskey in the centre waits for the corner. Linnigan was up early. Sellers. Hectic stuff, but Everton clear again. They're peeling out now. Just look at them. So a little flurry from Leeds, but it didn't achieve anything. The home fans are doing their best. They've been patient, they've been understanding, and they're still trying to inspire the second division team. Tommy Wright. Gavin. Well, that was the momentum Jimmy Hill was looking for from Leeds. Suddenly they did get people forward, and it may be that with a free kick given right on the edge, they can go one better here. What's Lorimer going to do? He's got Sellers with him. And he's driven it back to the old-fashioned days. We haven't had many scoring chances. So maybe there are one or two to come. Sellers. I would imagine that if Gary Stevens feels a twinge, they won't hesitate to bring on their sub, Everton. But here's Andy Gray with Aspin. Because it is Ian Atkins who deputised for Stevens in that position at Sunderland on Boxing Day. Reed. Stevens. Rain seems to have eased rather now. Andy Gray making himself available. Aspin is climbing a little bit and a free kick has been given. This time Mountfield stays back. Gray starts to make a run. Sharp is in there as well. Now Mountfield's come forward. And Gray's climbing. And here's Bracewell. Ricochet off a Leeds defender. Off Lorimer, actually. Reed. Ratcliffe. Bracewell. Here's Stephen. And Aspin first to it. Tommy Wright, Vanden Hauwe. And Aspin looks up to try to penetrate the Everton defence with another 40-yard pass, but that's not on, I'm afraid. Not from the Leeds point of view. Southall must feel he's been so well protected tonight, because whilst Jimmy's made the point about the Leeds approach, Everton have seemed so firm. Reed. Forward by Stevens. Header out by Linnigan. Andy Gray. Bracewell. Crowd trying to raise Leeds' game for them. But they're still being forced to go back very frequently. Reed charging forward for Everton. Sharp to his right. But it's broken down. And here's Frank Gray to Sellers. Out to Gavin. Gray again. Irwin. Oh, he's lost it in a very tricky position. Sheedy, the man who won it for Everton. Well, they weren't in a hurry, actually, to break out. And indeed got rather careless. Lorimer. Good ball by Frank Gray. Gavin. Hampson. Gavin again. And Gray, who miskicked, but Leeds kept possession with John Sheridan. Irwin. To the other fullback, Hampson. Tries to get Tommy Wright in. Gavin. Ten minutes to go in the third round of the FA Cup. Leeds 0, Everton 1. A penalty goal in the first half. Vanden Hauwe. Sharp and Bracewell breaking away. Andy Gray's in the centre, and Trevor Stephen was also. And a couple of half chances have fallen to him, and he struck them both over. Good break by Paul Bracewell, who, in his unpretentious way, is a quickly developing midfield player. He provided the cross here. Andy Gray was in the centre, he couldn't reach it. Stephen sliced it well wide. Frank Gray. Offside, just. It was young Tommy Wright who was caught, 19 years old next Thursday, but packing an awful lot of experience into his teenage years. And valuable it will be too for him and the other junior members of this Leeds squad when they look back on this match. Mountfield has been solid at centre-half. Ratcliffe alongside him likewise, and Sharp turning well up front. Bracewell. Stephen. Trevor Stephen picking away through here and brought down by Aspin on the edge of the area to put Everton in a threatening position. Sheedy with his left foot can often curl them from here. Number 11 he is. And Sheedy hits the bar. Gray's coming in for the rebound with the goalkeeper. And Sheedy again, and in the net, and 2-0. And Sheedy got the reward that tremendous free kick deserved. The poor goalkeeper lying in the back of the net. Sheedy blasted that. The keeper saw it crash back off the bar. Up went Andy Gray, a flat from the goalkeeper. Sheedy comes in. The keeper got his hands to it but couldn't keep it out. And Everton lead 2-0 with just 5 minutes to go. But having seen Everton defeat Ipswich so clinically, which Match of the Day viewers did last Saturday, it's a similar sort of thing tonight. A substitution right at the close of the match, and Ian Atkins, who played in some famous cup ties for Shrewsbury Town when he was there, is the man who's come on. Stevens has gone off, and you're watching the goal that appears to have settled the game by Sheedy. Meanwhile, Sellers for Leeds. Wright. And he's gone bravely on there, little Tommy Wright, but nothing much has broken for him, or indeed for his side. We're into the last minute, and the Everton fans well pleased. On by Andy Gray. They really seem to have laid the Elland Road bogey tonight of Everton. One of the longest sequences in football between big city clubs this 33 years since they won here. But a crowd of 21,000 have seen Everton lay claim to the match in the first half and confirm it with their superiority in the second. Here's Gavin. Did well there. Wright's in the centre. And a late chance here for Leeds from a corner. We are already in stoppage time. Gavin to take. Aspin was in there. It came off Trevor Stephen. But Everton have shown all night they have a capacity for survival when that's necessary, which hasn't been too often. Here's Trevor Stephen. Slightly skiddy pitch in the second half after the rain that fell earlier. Everton, the first side through to the fourth round of this season's FA Cup. They start their defence of the trophy with an impressive victory against second division opponents. Graham Sharp's penalty in the first half and Kevin Sheedy's goal 5 minutes from time enable Everton to win at Elland Road for the first time since the 1951-52 season. Well, lots of wrongs have been put right in the last 12 months by them, and Eddie Gray will go off knowing that his side tonight were nothing more really than attentive learners from an Everton side who controlled things with Howard Kendall's collective policy working for them all over the field. It was a good team performance, topped off by the 2 goals. And as Adrian Heath, who spoke at half-time about how well his side were playing, goes off to the dressing room to congratulate them, the young Leeds players and Peter Lorimer, the veteran, will have a lot to talk about as to what they might have done, but frankly, Everton were good and worthy winners, and on this form, the FA Cup will take a little bit of resting from their possession. A final score in this live FA Cup tie at Elland Road of Leeds United 0, Everton 2.
And I must say, really, I'm rather glad that another goal was scored there, because it would have been an awful cross for Andy Linnigan to bear that his goal really decided the cut to, or rather his handball that gave away the penalty. Really, it can be said that Leeds weren't in the game except for the first 20 minutes or so, Bob.
Yeah, that's right. I think Everton really are a very, very fortunate outfit when they can actually rely on the 4 defenders like they do in situations where they get little bits of pressure, and they just soak it up. I think they've got probably the best defence in the Football League at the present time, and it must be fantastically comfortable for Howard Kendall to actually go to bed at night and think, well, if ever our midfield or our forward players have a little bit of a lean time, we've got these lads to rely on. Unfortunately for Leeds, they had to play against them and never really had the know-how of how to get through, how to beat them. I think that if we were looking for the romance of the FA Cup, Jimmy, it wasn't going to happen here today. I think that was obvious after the first 10 minutes. They didn't get the ball forward quickly enough, Leeds. They started a little better in the second half and maybe could have created a few problems, but nevertheless not quite good enough, I'm afraid.
Well, congratulations, Howard Kendall. Everton tonight ending 33 years without a win at Elland Road.
Yes, we're delighted, naturally, with the first side through in the 4th round, and we're delighted about that, yes.
Obviously, 1-0 from the penalty wouldn't have been a fair reflection of the game, but I wonder if there was just a touch of relief when that second goal went in.
Well, there's always relief when the second one goes in, and especially near the end, you think, well, that should be it. I mean, I think that we've dominated most of the game. We've pushed forward in the second half, and I feel that they haven't posed as many problems. But it's always nice, anything can happen at the other end, but it's always nice when the second one goes in.
The game looked won at 1-0, but then Everton did just seem to let them back into the game for a few minutes, and Leeds had 1 or 2 chances.
Well, I don't think so. I think that there was more pressure. There was a couple of crosses went over when they had maybe a couple of scrambles in there, but I felt that was all. I felt that we dominated it.
All right, well done.
Cheers. You're rushing me, aren't you?
No,